Okay, welcome along to our Staying Well While Staying Home series, our collaboration between Siel, Bleu Ireland and the Irish Cancer Society, and myself, Shane, leading the class today. So just things that we'll check before beginning the class, especially if anyone may be new joining up. Just always have a good, strong, firm chair that we can use. We'll use weights during this class. If you don't have any dumbbells, you can use bottles of water, tins, anything that can give you a little bit of extra resistance. If you have yourself a bottle of water and maybe a window open as well, just to let a little bit of air in, that's all we need. I lead all of the exercises in standing. However, any movements can be adapted and performed in a seated position, so it will give you those seated adaptations as well. So, we'll get started. We'll get straight into the workout. Miserable day outside, so that's when the exercise class kind of comes into its own, where maybe we can't get out for a walk or out and active in these winter months. So let's get moving and warmed up first. I'll begin with the shoulders, just slowly rolling those shoulders back, just getting any movement at all here, just as we begin the session. We'll warm up, we'll move into our aerobic block, and then we'll have our main strength circuit after that. So lots in the session. We then change direction and roll the shoulders forward in circles. Okay, and then if I just bring the arms out in front and just pull back, bringing those elbows back, pulling in towards the shoulders, keeping the elbows up at about shoulder height as we pull back. You might feel a little connection with the back of your body around the shoulders or the upper back here, just pulling back. Now, from this position, if I just fold the arms and just gently begin to raise in front, just switching on with the shoulders, raising the arms in front to about shoulder height. And then if I keep the arms elevated, I'll just slowly rotate to the right and then over to the left, just moving through the upper body as I go side to side. Just think of opening everything up, maybe feel a little bit tight and stiff. Just going to loosen everything out before we get really active and moving in the session. And down, okay, and next with the arms out again, just pulling back nice and low. So we pulled into the shoulders. Now I'm pulling low into the stomach, so really nice and low as we roll and pull back, just showing from different angles as I roll. And I just think about connecting with my back, and I think of main exertion here as rowing, pulling back. And back down, okay? Just bringing the hands up and then just pressing straight out from chest, just pressing away from the body, nice, controlled push away. Hopefully not hearing that rain battering down on us, but just continuing pushing, connecting with your chest as we press forward here. And back down, okay? Just going to take it into a march next, just getting the lower limbs active now. From this position, I'll just lightly tap the heels out in front, just keeping the legs moving. Just gradually bringing that heart rate up. Just switching on different parts of the body, and just opening everything up as we go. Returning back to a march. And then again, just tapping those heels out in front. Chair is alongside me, and you might like to use it for the next movement, so I might just hold on. And less about speed and more about bringing a little bit of height into movement. So just bringing those knees up and really connecting, switching on to the hips here as we bring the knees up one at a time. And I'm just going to show you from the side angle as I lightly curl the legs back. So then heel towards bum. Okay, just continuing on. Morning, Suzanne. How are you? Hopefully keeping well. Great to have you with us. Just lightly curling those legs back. Just returning back to those nice high knee lifts. So again, that upper body is straight and just getting a little bit of height, but this is really individual in terms of how high you bring the knee, as high as you comfortably can, without losing balance or feeling uncomfortable here. And then again, just lightly curling those legs back. One at a time, curling the heels back towards bum. Just switching on through the back of the legs. Okay. Just again, worth having the chair here, bringing that right foot out and just to slowly draw circles. So before we move into this aerobic block where we're quite active and moving, I'm just going to get that foot moving, drawing circles with the toes of your foot, opening out that ankle, changing direction, continuing slowly around in circles here. And down, let's swap sides. Again, just worth having the chair here for this one, just like gives you that support. Left foot out, and again, slowly drawing circles. So your challenge, as I'll always say with this one, is to keep it slow, not to go really fast. Just keeping the action slow. And then reverse and change direction. Nice controlled circles through that left foot. And down. And just finish out marching. I'm going to just intro into the next phase. So that is our warm-up. We'll move now into our aerobic block work. So this will be 3 movements. I show where we're walking forward and back, performing a movement. You can perform it stationary on the spot if space is a little bit limited for you, or maybe there was any kind of objects in the way. Just work on the spot, or you can perform these movements in a seated position also. Okay, so what I'm going to do is move the chair out of the way, but you, as I say, I will lead the movements as a walking. You can do them stationary on the spot, or you can work in a seated position. And apologies if the internet went a little bit dodgy there. Touch wood, will have no problems. In the event of anything happening with the stream, we will begin a new stream. Occasionally that will happen, it may just cut out. And if anything happens, I will start up a new stream. But as I say, touch wood, we'll have no problems. Okay, so the first movement, just make sure that you have a bit of space. The first movement I want to do, I'm going to walk forward. I have a nice big open space to work with. And it's a nice clear foot. There's no mats or anything down. I will walk forward, lifting my right knee and raising the arms in front. I'll walk backwards, just 2 or 3 paces, and then forward. So I just start slowly, and then we'll start to build it up. Lifting your right knee, raising the 2 arms. So you're just exploring it this first round. Just ensure you're happy, you're balanced with the movement. The simplest adaptation you will make is to keep this stationary on the spot, whether that be standing or seated. Okay, but if you have space and if you're comfortable, let's continue that action of walking forward and back. Lifting the right knee, raising the 2 arms, no higher than shoulder level. So it's aerobic, it's active, working the heart, working the lungs, we're moving. As we go along, we'll start to feel a little bit more challenge here, but we're just kind of building in slowly here. Okay, I want you to continue that same action of walking forward, but now lifting the left knee and opening arms to your side. So just straight in, lifting the left knee, opening arms to your side. Again, 2 or 3 paces forward, lift the knee and raise the arms, and then walk back. Again, maybe what starts a little bit slow, cautious, just to ensure you're balanced, you're happy with everything, and becomes a little bit more purpose in the movement. Once I'm happy with everything, I start to move with a little bit more purpose now. And you can hear maybe as I talk, there'll be a slight pant as I go along, because I'm giving my body a little bit of challenge here. But if you prefer, again, you can stay on the spot, elevate, lift the knee, raise the arms, or in your seated position, lift the left knee, raise the arms. Just keep it continuous. Last couple of seconds. and back down. Final movement, stationary on the spot. What I want you to do is open the arms to your side, tap the hand to opposite knee. So right hand, left knee, left hand to right knee. Again, might just start with a little caution on the first couple of knee lifts and then continue on with a little bit of purpose again here. Keeping the upper body straight, bringing a little bit of height into the knee lift and just lightly tapping across. Again, if you're in a seated position, the movement pattern is exactly the same. Tap across to the opposite knee. And just continuing on. So just making a note now, there are your 3 movements. We've tried them all. If you need to make any changes, you can make them. So instead of moving, you might keep it on the spot, or you have the seated option available. So let's go straight back in, walking forward, right knee and lifting the arms. So we just move straight in. Now I have a sense of the movements. I'm aware of them all. I'm happy with everything. And now I'll start to really move with a little bit of purpose. Not so hard that I'm completely breathless. Okay? But enough that you notice a challenge, you feel you're active, you feel you're moving. You're not just going through the motions here. You're moving with a little bit of purpose. And as I say, working the heart, working the lungs, our aerobic work here, building up that cardiovascular endurance for this work. Lifting right knee, raising the arms in front. Again, the change you will make is just keeping the movement stationary, so on the spot, or working in the seated position. But this movement will be the same. 2 arms raise, right knee lifts. And switch. Continuing to walk forward, lifting the left knee, and opening arms to sides. You work in heights that are comfortable to you, so not lifting the knee too far. If that feels uncomfortable, just lift to a height where you're in control. Again, roughly 2 or 3 paces back. We'll try not to get too technical. Just walking forward and back. Lifting the left knee, opening arms to side as we go forward. I'm active, I'm moving, giving myself a challenge. Last couple of times here. And 1 more if comfortable. And in. Okay, brilliant. So I'm just going to return back to my fixed position. Open the arms out to the side. And we'll go straight in. Right hand, left knee. Left hand, right knee. So just stretching across. Again, a little bit of height into the knee lift, providing that's comfortable. And if not, just work in your seated position. Upper body stays strong, just that I'm not folding or bending. Just stay straight. And you're just lightly tapping those hands across to the opposite knee. Again, now at this point, we're kind of 2/3 through. Hopefully feeling a good challenge, but still in control of everything. You can still talk and not completely breathless. That you couldn't hold a conversation, for example, or talk in a full sentence. It's definitely a good challenge, hopefully. And down, okay. 1/3, final round, same 3 actions. So again, we'll walk forward, lift the right knee, raise the 2 arms. So let's begin straight in. Right leg, lift the knee, raise the arms. Just walking forward and back, 2 or 3 paces. Only change you can make here, if you want, just to keep it stationary. Maybe you don't have space for forward and back. Just simply lift the right knee and lift the arms on the spot or in your chair. Main thing is you're active, you're moving, whichever level of the movement you pick. Okay, throwing straight in, walk forward, lift the left knee, open arms to sides. Just go straight into that action. Again, any way uncomfortable here, keep it on the spot, lifting the left knee, opening arms to sides, or from your seated position. And you're just picking a level that allows you to work hard and give you a challenge and that you are happy with. Okay, so just continuing on. Just leading with that left leg, lifting the knee, opening arms to side. Plenty of steps in today. Good start to the day. If, like me, you kind of count the steps during the day, this will definitely boost them up. Last couple of seconds. And I'll go once more. And down, okay? Just fixing myself on the spot. Opening arms to your side. Final aerobic movement. Right hand, left knee. Left hand to right knee. So just lightly tapping across. Upper body stays straight, just that I'm not bending in the position. So allow the knees to lift, high as comfortable, and just let the arms flow across. Slightly tapping across from side to side. Final movement here. As I say, hopefully feeling a good challenge. Maybe a little pant as you talk, maybe a little bit red, maybe a light sweat, but as I say, you're not completely breathless and unable to talk in a sentence, for example. Well, hopefully a good challenge. Okay, last couple of seconds. And rest, okay? So take a drink of water, take a little breather, just catch your breath, and we will move into our strength block of work. So that's your aerobic block. Mind, as I say, have a little pant. It's a good sign we're working hard. Good challenge. But you're just going to rest it out now. And maybe even just rest against the chair, take a seat, and I will explain our next phase of work. So there's no need to run into this or anything. We'll take our time. Okay, so we have the clock set up here. Okay, 5 strength movements, which we will perform 3 rounds of. Everyone is building up. So it doesn't matter if you do 1, 2, or 3 rounds, but just I will give you the 3 rounds of teaching. So, but feel free, you can break the workout up over the day. Everyone is at a different stage. Maybe exercise is something very comfortable with at this stage. Maybe to some of us, this kind of session is a little bit more, maybe we're just kind of easing our way back in. So there's no pressure at all is the main thing. If you experience pain with any movements, there may be reasons for that. Certain movements, certain angles may cause pain specific to you. And the easiest way to think of it, if a movement causes pain, just change the exercise. Don't continue with it. Leave it out. There is adaption, so maybe just picking a different adaption, or just simply pick a movement that you know doesn't cause pain to replace it. So movement number 1. Before I put the clock, I just want to demonstrate the movement, the action, and I'll give you a seated variation as well. So we're going to try out a reverse lunge. How I will do that, my hands will be placed on the chair. I'll just soften the stance of my knees, so I don't want to be too tight and rigid. I'll just relax my stance, the knees. I will take a step back with my right foot, so stepping back. Upper body is straight. I will just gently lower down as far as comfortable, and then I will step back in. So showing you that again, think 3 phases. Step back, lower down, step back in. As I step back, make sure that the body doesn't tilt forward. Just try and keep the body straight and just work in a range of comfort. So if you feel that's far enough, don't force it any further. Not looking to bring that knee to the floor or anything here. Just work in a range that's comfortable and then step back in. Okay? If that's not comfortable, aside from just working the range and maybe just working in a partial range, If that kind of descent, that dropping down just feels like there's too much pressure on the leg for any reason, you might simply just work on light tap back. So you don't even need to drop into the movement. Just practice that first phase of stepping back so that you can look to start building up towards the lunge. In a seated position, what I want you to do is, because we're looking to work the thigh, the leg, what I want you to do is elevate the heels and just focus on extending the right leg as we work the right leg. And then you'll hold this stance as we work the left leg. So your heels will be elevated and you'll just work the right leg, extending in front, keeping a little bit of tension through the legs here. Okay. So as I always say, just because it's seated doesn't mean we want to make it easy. We still want a good challenge. Okay. So I'm going to lead us with our lunge. Teaching from the start. My hands are on the back of the chair. Good strong chair always. My knees nice and soft. And I'll begin. I will step back with my right foot. Body is straight. I'll just lower down as far as comfortable and back in. Step back, drop down, back in. Ease your way into the position. Don't force it too far. Start maybe with a couple of partial movements. So by that I mean just going a little bit, even if you think you can go further. And then as you go along, you might start to safely explore going a little bit further with the movement here. Knee stays in line with toes. Just mindful that doesn't go excessively far forward here. It just stays in line. And your upper body is straight as you lower. But in its simplest form, step back, lower down, step back in. But I want you to think it's the leg here, your front leg, which is taking the load of the movement. Even though my right leg is moving, I'm thinking of that front left leg as like the anchor of the position. And it's that muscle in my quad here that's really active. Really important that you just stay in a range that you are comfortable. So if it feels a bit tough, just monitor how far you're dropping, that you're not going to go too low. And pause. Shake the legs out. So that was the right. I'm going to work on stepping the left leg back. So that means the right leg will be really active. You may notice one leg or one side stronger than the other. So maybe you have to tailor to each leg. So just mindful of that. But again, you have your seated adaptation also here. So holding chair. Now my left leg steps back. I lower down and I go back up. I know I could go a little further, but I'm just going to ease my way into the position. That front right leg is taking the load. And now I feel comfortable. I'm happy with everything. Now I might just explore going a little bit further, but never pushing beyond what's comfortable. Again, 3 phases. Step back, lower down, step back in. That front right leg is doing all of the work. You notice that knee, it stays in line with the toes, and the knee does not go excessively far forward here. Just naturally drop down, step back in. And as I demonstrate here, working in a partial range if lowering down is really difficult. Okay, so I always want you to tailor the movements to work best for you. Again, a great way to build strength through the leg, and we're just giving that little bit of attention to each side. One more time if comfortable. And down. Next movement. This is one I want to do in a seated position for everyone. So another way of working the chest. And what I've come across in the group, so chest movement, we typically think of pushing away with weight. I find too long in that position can put a lot of pressure and people find it a little bit uncomfortable sometimes from previous experience with classes. So what I want you to do is grab your 2 weights, bring the elbows in by your side, and we break this up. Lift the elbows out to shoulder height, push forward, pull back, lower down. So we're just breaking the movement up here We're not going to stay in that position prolonged, as it were. We're just breaking it up. So again, 2 phases. Lift elbows out to shoulder height, so that works the shoulders. And then we push, return, and back down. So you just break up that tension, briefly taking it off our chest as we lower the elbows. So again, elbows out, shoulder height, smooth push from chest. If you find that pushing action from chest uncomfortable, just continue to lift and lower the elbows to your side. That will work your shoulders. By adding the push, we're connecting with our chest as well. Nice smooth line straight in front and return. As I go one more time. And back down. Okay. Next movement. 2 ways you're going to do this. I'm just going to show you the seated version since I am seated. And then I'm going to show you the standing variation, which I will lead with. If you're working in the seated stance, I want you to sit nice and upright in your chair. You can take hold of your 2 weights here. And what I want you to do is nice and controlled, lean forward as far as comfortable, and then straighten back up. So lean the upper body forward and back up without at any point bending the body. So you'll always stay upright, working in a range that's comfortable to you. As I go forward, I'm going to squeeze my glutes just to pull myself back in. Standing, which I will now lead with. A hip hinge. So what you are going to do is hold the 2 weights by your side. Feet around hip width, just that you're comfortable and your knees are nice and soft. I want to push my hips backwards and not to sit. So how this looks, I push my hips backwards, so I'll feel the back of my chair. I squeeze my glutes and come forward. Now I'm a little close there, so I'll adjust. So again, I push my hips backwards, squeeze, and come forward. All the time, pushing your hips back, squeeze, pushing the hips forward. Imagine there was a drawer open. If you were in your kitchen, and maybe there's a drawer open, and I want you to just push your hips back to close that drawer. So that's why I have the visual cue behind me of my chair. If I was squatting, what would happen? I wouldn't make contact with that chair. So that's why I just keep that chair there, just as a little reminder that I am going backwards. As I push the hips back, my upper body is naturally drawn forward, but think of initiation through the hips all the way here. As you push the hips back, you might feel a stretch on the back of your upper legs, and that's a good indication you have the movement, you're spot on, or you have it locked in really well here. Back stays nice and straight. As I go one more time. And back up, okay? And if that isn't comfortable, you have that seated option. Standing seated, this next movement is performed really much in the same way. Arm curl with a little tricep or back of the arm squeeze. So how this looks, hold the weights by your side or slightly in front. Lift up towards shoulders, lower back down, and actively squeeze as we lower the weight. So I want to show you from the side. Up and squeeze as we approach shoulders, down, and not just resting, actively pushing the weights behind as I lower. So I feel front of the arm, drop down, actively push back and squeeze, feeling back of the arm, tricep. So front of the arm, bicep, down, squeeze, back of the arm, tricep. So we're just connecting, trying to feel the 2 different parts of our arm. Keep the elbows roughly in a fixed position here as you work between the 2 angles. Up towards shoulders, down, and actively push back. So you'll see the weights just pushing behind my hips or as far as I comfortably can in the position. So we're just putting that nice connection with the 2 parts of our arm. One more. and rest. Okay, let the weights down. First round of your circuit finished. So what we always want to do is just ask yourself how that felt. Number one, if any movement was painful, you're going to make a change. You're going to choose a seated adaptation instead of standing, or maybe just picking a movement that you were familiar with that you know causes no pain. How hard should you be working? Maybe there's a little bit of a pant, light sweat, maybe a little bit red. You know you're active, you know you're getting a good challenge, but you're not completely breathless. You're not unable to talk in a full conversation. You're not kind of grasping for air and unable to talk. That might be a sign to just pull it back and slow the pace down. So, providing everything feels okay, I'm going to bring us into round number 2. Same movements. Think you were just exploring them there. Now we have a better sense. We can kind of make any changes and we can continue now with a little bit of purpose in our movements. So, showing you the demonstrations again. Reverse lunge. So that means hands on chair. Stepping back with right leg, lowering down and stepping back in. Seated adaptation. Before I stick the clock on. In your chair, elevate the heels, work on extending the right leg, and then you'll swap to the opposite leg when I swap with the lunge as well. Okay, so let's begin. Holding back in the chair, clock is now on, and I'll begin. I step back with right leg, I lower my body down, and I step back in. Again, I'll still just work with a little caution on the first repetition or two. Make sure you're comfortable, and then continue working in a range that feels good to you. I move to the right leg, but really the connection, the work is with that stationary left leg, the front leg. Again, 3 phases you can think of: stepping back, lowering down, and stepping back in. Keeping your upper body straight so that you're not leaning forward as you step down and back. And I feel that left leg working hard, but I'm in control of everything. Nothing is painful, just a good muscular challenge. Final reps. And rest. Might just shake the legs out. Again, mindful, side to side, one leg may be stronger than the other side. And again, the biggest thing you can do with that one is just control the depth. So don't force it too far. Just work in a partial range if that feels better to you, and just slowly build this one up over time. So again, holding the back of your chair. Knees nice and soft, and I step back with my left leg, lower, step back in. So that right leg doing most of the work from a muscular point. That's where I feel the challenge and tension. And just continuing, step back, lower, step back in. Upper body staying straight. Just mindful that I'm not leaning forward during the movement. And control that depth. We're not looking for knee to hit the ground. We're not going to push that far. But really, you just got to tailor to the range that feels good. So you might work in a much more kind of controlled range, like as I demonstrate for the next rep or two. You can really just adjust this one and strip it right back. And just over time, if you feel comfortable and strong in the position, you can start to work through a little bit more range. One more if comfortable. And down. We take our seated position next. 2 ways to do the next movement. Again, so I'm just trying to add a chest press, but in a way which hopefully doesn't put too much tension on the position that makes you uncomfortable. So I grasp my 2 weights, take the elbows in to your sides, and we'll begin the action. Lift out to shoulder height so I connect with my shoulders, and then a nice smooth push or press slowly in, return the elbows down. So lift, press, return, lower the elbows, and we continue. Nice smooth line as I press the weights away from my chest. Return, lowering those elbows. You're supported in this seated position, so this is one we're just all going to work on in the seated position. Just a better way to maybe start this action, just giving our back that support here. Nice smooth press, return, lower down. If you don't like the pressing action that causes any kind of pain, just work on the elbow raise. So that will work your shoulders, still an effective movement, just simply lifting the elbows out and lowering back down, but adding the press if comfortable. Final reps. And once more. And down, okay? Just while I am seated, before I move into the standing hinge, or hip hinge, showing you from the seated position, with or without weight. You can sit nice and tall, nice and upright. I want you to lean the body forward, squeeze those glutes, and come back in. So lean forward, squeeze, and back. Mindful that at no point are you bringing that back, which is exactly the same for the standing version. Ensuring that you're not rounding or bending that back. Again, I'll just use that chair as a visual and physical cue. So my feet about hip width, my knees are soft, and I want to push my hips back. So I'll begin pushing my hips back. Feel that connection with chair. I squeeze my glutes coming forward. Okay. So pushing hips back, squeeze, come forward. As I push those hips backwards, I feel a stretch in the back of my upper legs. And that means I'm working in that plane that I want of pushing the hips back. Again, I don't want you to work in a huge range. Just want to get that connection, that idea simply today of